What's up, subflappers? Welcome back to another video. And think of this as a continuation from yesterday's video, as I read the comments and there's a lot of passionate people engaging with this discussion, so I thought might as well open this up a little more and talk about some of these problems. And if you haven't watched the video, here it is on screen. It's best you watch that video. That's kind of like a very introductory way to lead into what we're about to talk about today. Alright, so if you guys could just like and subscribe, that'd be really nice. To most of the people watching, this is likely your first time seeing me. My name's Walrus. Here on my channel, I talk a lot about Genshin Impact through my own opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but it'd be really cool if you can comment down below why in a civil manner. Alright, with that said, let's get right into the discussion because there's a lot to talk about. So right from the get-go, I want you guys to do this. Alright, please separate Electro the element from Electro characters. So what I'm essentially saying is take a character as Raiden Shogun, for example. Just think of her as a neutral character, or maybe even think of her as another elemental character. Think of her apart from Electro the element itself, because you guys will see really quickly why this needs to be done if we want to talk about today's topic being Electro. So just imagine if Raiden Shogun, everything in her kit is exactly the same, her skill, the scaling, and even her constellations. But what if she was Pyro? Change all elemental things about her kit and change it to Pyro. What about Hydro? What about Cryo? Right, starting from here, I think the keen of you would quickly realize that she would be beyond broken. Alright, this character would be insane if she were Cryo, Hydro, or Pyro, right? Her utility features remain intact, but also giving her an amplitude of additional reactional synergies that could be tapped into. So why I say this is because the same could be applied for a character like Keqing or Razor, Beidou. A lot of these characters would be monumentally more powerful had they been given other elemental types. And why is this? So please comment down below why you think this is the case, because I'm going to give you guys the answer right now. The reason is because when MiHoYo designed these characters, they are designing in fact around Electro's weakness, as opposed to having these characters facilitate these weaknesses. In other words, MiHoYo is trying to fix Electro without actually trying to fix Electro. Now this is something that people might not resonate with as much as I see in my previous video. A lot of people are saying there's nothing wrong with Electro, you guys are just making issues out of non-issues. They're saying that Electro usage is fine, Electro teams are fine, Electro characters themselves are fine, and a lot of them pointed to Raiden Shogun. Like, just look at Raiden Shogun. MiHoYo can create such powerful Electro characters without needing to fix anything reaction related, so it's absolutely fine. Now that's almost like pointing to Bill Gates and say, look at Bill Gates, see there, poverty doesn't exist, just look at Bill Gates, right? You can't be taking someone like Raiden Shogun and saying that just because she functions fine and she's a top tier unit, the entire element is fine. Here's a couple things that I want to note that are currently, I feel like, outliers when compared to other stats in the game. One of the first things I want you guys to take a look at is this Genshin Impact pick rates list. It pretty much gives you a percentage of how many times certain characters are picked. Now this is for the Spiral Abyss, so it should be a pretty good indicator as to what characters people prefer on their teams when challenging somewhat difficult content. The first thing you'll notice is Raiden Shogun appearing as the number 4th most picked character. And another thing that you guys should be keeping a note of is looking at how balanced the top 6 characters are when it comes to their elemental types. You guys might be saying, wow, that is great game design, is it not, Walrus? This should showcase that MiHoYo's game design is impeccable. And yes, it does. It shows that at the peak of the current game state, balance has been indeed restored. However, that is only at the peak. If you continue to scroll down on this list, the next time an Electro character appears is at the number 22nd spot, being Fischl. Now that is a total 18 placements down. All other elemental types has repeated in between this, not once but twice at the minimum. Some even appear multiple times more than that up until this point. And if you keep going downwards, you'll see a couple other Electro units slotting into the middle pack of the usage list, mainly being Beidou and Sarah at 26th and of course the 28th position. As we continue to go down, you'll see Best Girl Kaching sitting at 36 with a usage rate of 9.2%, and below her are Barbara, Kaya, Traveler, Yanfei, Sayu, Amber, Jinyan, Lisa, Razor, and Aloy. Yes, of course, this list end up with 2 additional Electro characters filling in 2 of the last 3 positions, with Aloy being 0.6%, a resounding 46th spot. Now, I want to remind you guys, Razor and Lisa in of themselves aren't necessarily weak characters. Then what's the problem? I'll tell you guys the problem. The problem is Electro as an element just struggles to find good reaction pairings that are strong enough to challenge the current iteration, and let me be frank, many iterations of the Spiral Abyss. Currently, Raiden Shogun is the only crutch that Electro can stand on when you look at it as an element to somewhat say that it's barely usable. To the people who are saying and screaming at the top of their lungs, Walrus, I have used my Kaching to clear Abyss every single time without fail, 36 stars, easy clap, no effort. I just have to let you know, right? You are indeed part of that 9.2% who have given the love and attention to this character. There are people who are clearing Abyss 36 stars with Aloy. Does that mean Aloy is a perfectly fine and balanced character, and in the future MiHoYo should just look towards Aloy and replicate that success? No. Right? Just because people can make it work doesn't mean that it works as intended or as should be. I mean, you can argue with me all you want, but go look at any statistic. With exception to Raiden Shogun, all other Electro characters sees very limited usage. And once again, let me reiterate, it's not the character's fault, it's their element. The element of Electro is holding back a lot of these characters. Because for elements like Hydro, Cryo, sometimes you don't need the large amount of damage amplification. Well, they also have that. I'm just saying they don't need that because of utility reactions such as Freeze, right? Freeze is such a great example of you don't have to do a bunch of PP damage for it to be useful. But Electro doesn't even have that. Here's something else I want to show you guys, and that is the Electro Resonance. Now, this is the only resonance in the game that benefits almost exclusive to only Electro units. Looking at Pyro, it benefits the whole team. Looking at Cryo, benefits the whole team. Looking at Hydro, benefits the whole team. Geo, whole team. Anemo, whole team. And then there's Electro, right? This is what I mean when I originally said months and months and months ago that Electro itself has an identity crisis. It doesn't even know what it's meant to do. Now, if I asked you guys the question, what is Electro's identity? The first thing that pops into most of your minds probably would just be energy recharge. You would just think, well, right, Electro at this point is just an energy recharge element. Then let me ask you the question, why not just make the Electro Resonance generate energy particles like the Favonia's weapons do? Just generate neutral energy particles. Why does it have to be Electro energy particles? Now, the answer to this question doesn't matter, right? The fact is that it doesn't function that way. And that's why I say the element is confused. What is Electro trying to accomplish in the game? Now, I feel like even if you took this question and asked the design team at MiHoYo, they would likely be stumped as well. So at the end here, let's just talk about one other thing that is a glaring issue when it comes to Electro. And that is the other half of Electro, which are the characters, right? I asked you guys in the very beginning to separate Electro the element from characters themselves. Now let's think about it from the characters' perspectives. Why are there so little characters whom are of the Electro element being released? At this point, if people are saying things like, well, MiHoYo just wants to stay true to the canonical storyline that very few Electro visions are being handed out, you guys are on so much copium, I fear that some of you might OD, alright? I'm gonna be straight with you here. The lack of Electro characters, in my honest opinion, is likely due to MiHoYo's design team trying to build around Electro's issues as opposed to just fixing them. They're trying to build characters around glaring weaknesses without over-tuning them, because if they do that, then they can't really nerf these characters, so they have to be very, very careful every time they design and release an Electro character. I think it's simple as that. But really, what do I know? I'm actually more interested in hearing what you guys have to say on this subject matter. Do you think wholeheartedly that MiHoYo is just trying to stick to Genshin's canonical story by not releasing many Electro characters because visions are scarce, or do you think there's something bigger at play here? Let me know what you guys think, as well as whether or not you think MiHoYo is going to fix Electro the element, or just continue designing characters around the element's problems. Alright, with that said, I'm going to take my leave, but I hope to see you guys all in today's live stream. Sorry I had to push it one day later because yesterday I ran into some issues. Hope to see you guys later. Until then, urge y'all to stay safe and peace.